Good Thursday morning, and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. If you're joining us live this morning, appreciate that. Thanks for being here. If you're listening or watching this later, you can at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. It is free. Thanks for joining us there as well. Today it's 68 degrees, high of 78. It's going to get rather warm today before bands of rain start coming through this afternoon. Cooling off temperatures for the rest of the week, so be prepared for that. Kind of one of those weird days where you got to be ready for the warm weather in the morning, cold weather and wet in the afternoon. It will stay cold through the weekend. Traffic today, there is an accident on the I-12 on-ramp in Denham Springs, as well as an accident on Pete's Highway at Forest Delat. Please keep that in mind as you are traveling westbound into Baton Rouge. Also, heavy delays on 16 in Watson and Denham Springs as folks are bringing their kids to school right now. It's 7:32 a.m. Also, some heavy delays on Hatchell, where Denham Springs Junior High is letting in. Also, delays on Burgess as folks from the high school move down Burgess towards 447, and the freshman high lets in. So please keep those hot spots in mind. Delays on I-12 westbound backed up to just past Pete's Highway. Intermittent delays after that. No delays yet after the 10-12 split. So if you can get past everything, you're looking at pretty smooth sailing into Baton Rouge this morning. The Cynthia Perkins trial begins this morning at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Brenda Ricks. This will be for preliminary motions. We'll see how it goes. Not after speaking with the Attorney General and some of the people involved with the case, not a whole lot of people sure what's going to happen today. Happened so quickly, so much differently than how Dennis Perkins's trial path, I guess you can say, is going. Cynthia appeared before Judge Charlotte Foster about a week ago, or a week and a half ago now, on Monday. And, very quick, very in and out, and she was the only one in the courtroom, and of course had a very quick court set date, which was today, November 7th. Dennis Perkins, however, came on Wednesday. He was there during general civil court, actually, so people were coming in and out and that kind of thing. He's set for December 19th, so 5-6 weeks from now. That was by motion of his lawyer, or his attorney, his representation, and the scheduling of the judge. It's important to remember that judges in the 21st Judicial District Court move from Livingston to St. Helena to Amite. Well, Amite is in Tangi, so those in Tangipahoa. So they go in a circle, and they have to match schedules with attorneys and things of that nature. So he will not be tried until December 19th. He has currently been moved to Lane Hunt Correctional Facility in Ascension Parish, it's actually in St. Gabriel, which I believe is in Ascension Parish. He is being held at the same place Dakota Terrio is being held, in a single cell as opposed to general population, which is what they have at Livingston Parish Detention Center. Considering that he is former law enforcement as well as crimes against kids, that's usually, those are both red flags for people to get jumped in prison. So Sheriff Jason Ard contacted the Department of Corrections. They agreed. It's not going to cost the parish residents here in Livingston anything, because the state also has inmates at the Livingston Parish Detention Center for which they pay. So they'll just receive a credit on that ledger. So again, her trial is today, or the beginning of her trial preliminary begins at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Brenda Ricks. We will be out there. The feature for Thursday was a bus driver school, and really talking about the transportation system in general and what the what the bus system has had to do to try to shore up a lot of shortcomings in the bus driver staff. There's over 700 routes being driven daily in Livingston Parish, and you have to remember those are morning and afternoon routes. So technically it's 1,400 routes being driven per day. And it used to be with less than 300 drivers. A lot of drivers were doing 2 routes per run, so 4 routes a day. So they, go bring a bunch of high school and junior high kids to school, take a break, and then go get a bunch of elementary school kids. And in the afternoon, they'd bring home the high school and junior high kids, then go back and get the elementary school kids and bring them home. So a lot of driving, tons of driving. According to Josh Day, who is the director of the transportation department, They started off the year short. They were short 8 routes, and that was after. So it was a total of 13 because that was after 5 new routes had been introduced. A lot of people on social media early in the school year were, taking to Facebook and Twitter and complaining about how crowded the buses were, how late they were, that sort of thing. So the school board has approved 5 courses this year for potential full-time and part-time or substitute bus drivers to take, such that they have now, as of now, filled the 13 routes that were missing, and they have now started to build up a substitute list, which is something they have not had in several years. They told me on the phone. So they are really filling out that roster for drivers. So things should be a little bit better going forward. They said that a lot of bus drivers hated to take the day off if they needed to because there was no backup. It was just a very tough work environment, but now they're building up a substitute list and have filled out their full-time bus driver routes. That course is a 10 night, 4 hours a night, 40-hour total course. Then you actually have to pass the commercial driver's license permitting process. And then you have to do roughly 30 hours of in-bus driving, finishing it off with a trainer and a bus full of kids. You would take a single bus load home for several days before they give you the all clear to be either a full-time or substitute bus driver. So the school board is working, or has begun working on that problem, fixed a lot of it. They will have, they're currently in a course if you're interested in being a full-time or substitute bus driver, because they do have a lot of turnover problems. So it's always good to get your name on the list if you are interested. They will have courses restarting back at the end of January, and then one more in the spring for this school year. Excuse me. Getting ready for the next school year. Those 2 in the spring will be getting ready for the next school year. Again, it's state level benefits, pretty good pay, and rather flexible hours during the day. Josh said, or told me that a lot of drivers tend to have part-time jobs during the middle of the day if they want to, or they can go run their errands or whatever. It's very rigid between about 5:30 and 8 in the morning and 2:30 and 5 in the afternoon. So again, school system working on fixing their bus driver situation. That is the feature for this Thursday's paper. Parish Council will meet tonight as well. That committees will begin at 5, leading into the regular council meeting at 6:30. Ordinance Committee is going to be looking at some rules about re-subdividing land that's already been approved by the council, as well as speed bumps or speed humps as a means of traffic slowdown in and around the parish. There was a gentleman who was ready to fight for that at the last parish council meeting, but they could not find a quorum for Ordinance Committee, so they never talked about it. But they're going to try to talk about it this Thursday, or tonight rather. And then the regular parish council meeting, they even had to add in an addendum to approve an introduction of an ordinance to introduce a home into the hazard mitigation grant program. Home elevations and acquisitions are starting to ramp up in the parish. It's important to remember that according to the flood damage prevention ordinance through the parish, which is a requirement by FEMA to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program, any home that was substantially damaged after the flood has to be mitigated in some way, either acquired by FEMA or raised by FEMA. And according to FEMA, the parish looked at about 300 homes, and they're missing about 3,700. Eventually, FEMA will send a group of people here to go door to door and start talking to those people at those homes and telling them, you've got to either raise your home or we'll acquire it. According to some parish officials, the FEMA can't force them to do that. But with that FDPO, Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance, on the books, the parish has to do that. So it will be interesting to see how that situation pans out in the coming months. But home elevations and acquisitions have already begun in Denham, Walker, and the parish. Over $10 million has been approved for the area. Pretty soon here, the parish is letting out 6 homes for bid for elevation. So it may not sound like a lot, but especially if that's just 300 and they're slowly moving forward with getting these homes either acquired or elevated. That could start ramping up a lot over the next few months. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But the process has begun. You can apply if you live inside the city limits of Denham Springs or Walker, you should apply through the city itself. If you live outside those city limits or in another municipality in the parish, you want to call the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness at the parish. Excuse me. So public schools have made an announcement yesterday that according to their participation in state standardized tests, as well as diploma strength for high schoolers and vocational offerings, 30 out of 43 that participate in the state ranking system have improved or saw improvement during the 2019 school year. That's from January to now. So congratulations to those schools. You can read about that list at www.livingstonparishnews.com/news. It was a rather lengthy list, so I recommend, I don't want to leave anybody out, recommend you go reading through it. Walker High School was one of the main high schools, but a lot of the high schools are still improving. All of them are. We recorded our football show yesterday. It'll be coming out today at noon. We invite you to check that out. We talked all about focusing on Walker and Zachary playing for a district championship, all the marbles. Quite a turnaround over there in Walker for that football program, considering kind of a tough start, trying to find some identity. Look at them now. So they'll be heading up to Zachary. Coach Chad Mahaffey said, play the game, not the name. So trying to remember that you are playing another football team, and they're human just like you are. So it's going to be a good game up there in Zachary. We had broke the news about Coach Bill Conades will not be returning to Denham Springs High School next year. So Denham Springs will be in the market for, for a coach. Live Oak plays Central, looking to break their own single season record for wins or for the regular season. Springfield's taking on Northlake Christian, looking for, hopefully if St. Thomas loses, a tie for their district championship. Also have the playoffs on the line here. And Albany takes on Hannon, looking to solidify a good playoff spot there because they're looking for their first ever playoff win. So check out that show. We dive into all those issues. Volleyball playoffs will continue tonight and tomorrow. Denham and Walker still have to play, so good luck to you ladies. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Chase Tyler, a little hometown favorite, has been selected to sing the national anthem at the Saints-Panthers game. That's coming up not this weekend, but I believe the weekend after. The next time they play the Panthers at home, he will be singing the national anthem. So congratulations to Mr. Chase Tyler, and good luck. It's a tough crowd in there, but we're sure you'll kill it. So coming back around to your weather and your traffic, 68 degrees currently. It's foggy. A couple of accidents. We'll talk about that in a second. It's going to get warmer and warmer throughout the day until sometime midday, early afternoon. Then bands of rain are going to start coming through. Going to get cold overnight. Cold. Very much back into the gumbo weather area. Somewhere around 40 degrees or so overnight low. Getting up into the 50s during the day. So it's going to be chilly. So one of those weird days is kind of warm here in the morning. Be prepared for it to be wet and cold this afternoon. Accidents on the I-12 on-ramp at Denham Springs, as well as accidents on Pete's Highway in Forest Lat. Having trouble this morning. I do apologize, folks. Still can't do it. Of course, those accidents are causing delays. However, still a pretty good flow on River Road going through Denham Springs, and some heavy traffic on 190 coming into that River Road, 4-H Club Road, Florida Boulevard intersection, as people are trying to probably avoid those accidents on the interstate. Everything is backed up on I-12 westbound past Pete's Highway. Some intermittent delays after you get past that. Looking pretty clear after the 10-12 split. 64 relatively clear heading into Central. You're looking at delays on 447 as folks drop their kids off at Walker High School as well as Walker Freshman High. And folks are starting to flow out of Watson as schools let in. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of News. Appreciate you joining us for this Thursday morning show. We're going to have a busy day here at the News. Going to be running around a lot. Please remember that if you watch these live, we appreciate them, but you can also check them out for free, www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. So keep an eye on our Twitters and our Facebooks as we move around the parish today. We will be back in the booth tomorrow, probably to talk to you about how the Cynthia Perkins trial went, as well as all sorts of wonderful parish council goodies, and one last wrap up on football. Remember, going to get cold and wet this afternoon. Please try to enjoy the warm weather today before it gets cold. Please try to stay dry. We'll catch you tomorrow.